David here with Figboot on Pens, back again with another fountain pen review. Today, I have for you one of the latest releases from Visconti in their Homo Sapiens lineup, and that would be the Homo Sapiens Demo Stones. What I'm going to do today is go over the parts and features of this pen. I actually have all three color offerings here with me. Talk about what I care for and what I don't care for about it. I'll show some measurements, size comparisons, and provide a writing sample. Thanks go out to the good folks at Coles of London, the US distributor for Visconti, as well as SD DuPont for providing these pens on loan for review. The Homo Sapiens Demo Stone comes in three different colors. There is the Ruby model, which is red, the Emerald in green, and Sapphire in blue. The pens are made from a translucent acryloid, which is a resin that is very strong and hard without being brittle. The material is hand-turned and polished on both the inside and out. The distinguishing feature can be found on the end of these pens, where you have a matching semi-precious gemstone. On the Ruby, there is a red carnelian. On the Emerald, it has a green agate, and the Sapphire has a blue agate. What's the difference between precious and semi-precious? There are only four types of stones universally deemed to be precious. That would be diamond, ruby, blue sapphire, and emerald. Then there is a larger list of stones determined to be semi-precious. It's a little bit arbitrary though, since some of the semi-precious stones can be more rare and valuable than the four deemed to be precious. I'll give you a closer look at all three of these pens during the measurements, but you can see here, I have all three of them here. But for now, let's just take a look at the Sapphire model. I think it shows up really nice on camera. The first thing I noticed right away was the translucency. I feel it's the correct amount. If it's closer to opaque, then why even bother? And if it's too close to transparent, it can present a different set of issues that clear demonstrators have to deal with. Basically, the darkness of the material is determined by the inner workings of the pen. It's darker here on the cap because of the section in the nib, and it's darker here on the end of the barrel where there are parts for the filling system. You can see here in this picture again, that leaves the ink chamber, which you get a bit of a better look at. It acts as a nice big ink window. Let's take a look at the end of the cap. Here is a close look at that blue agate. I think Visconti did a very good job of matching the resin to the color of these stones. If you didn't know any better, you would almost think that that ball was just resin, but no, it is a stone. It's a bit milkier than the resin. Now, I'm not sure what they could have done differently, but I can't say I'm a huge fan of the shape of the stone. It kind of is a little bulbous and protrudes out a bit much for me, but like I said, I really don't have a suggestion as to what they could have done differently. Then we have the traditional arched and hinged Visconti clip. The Visconti name is raised in letters with a background matching the color of the pen. In this case, it's a very vibrant blue. As with all Homo sapiens, the cap has two rounded silver bands, and the end of the cap, there is a medium-sized step down to the barrel, which begins with a band that says Homo sapiens. I like that the lettering on the band is filled with black lacquer to make each letter stand out. It's a nice look. Now, one of my favorite features on a recent Homo sapiens model was the clear band that also serves as an ink window. While I really love that band, I feel that the standard metal band is a better pairing for this particular model. Then, as the barrel begins, we have something interesting, and that is a small portion where there is no interior lining, making for an ink window. Now, with the translucency of this barrel, you can get a decent look at your ink situation, so I'm not quite sure why you need this additional window, but the difference in color is small, and when you have ink in the barrel, you really don't even notice that the window is there that much. It's not a bad design element in my opinion, I'm just not quite sure of the purpose. The barrel tapers down slightly, and then in the end we have a silver band signifying the beginning of the piston knob, and on the end of the barrel we have something interesting. That's where we have the Visconti logo and their My Pen system, where you could trade this piece out for other different inserts. I've discussed that many times previously. I don't ever recall seeing this on the end of the barrel before on any of their previous models, at least the ones I've had the opportunity to check out. The cap utilizes Visconti's hook-safe lock mechanism, where you cap and uncap the pen with a push and a twist. This unique system allows you to uncap the pen in about 1/8 of a rotation. And then once you remove the cap underneath, we have this 14-karat gold nib that Visconti makes in-house. I really like the striping on their in-house nibs. This nib is available in extra fine, fine, medium, broad, and a 1.3 stub. And here's a look at the plastic feed. The section is slightly concave and then transitions into the blocky hook-safe threads and the remainder of the barrel. The Homo Sapiens section has always been a bit on the short side, so it really forces your grip into a more specific area of the pen, but I do find it comfortable, even for longer writing sessions. And I feel it feels comfortable in the hand, and the weight is distributed well between the forward inner workings and the piston mechanism in the back. The cap does post, and it does post securely. As with most Homo sapien models, posting, in my opinion, kind of backweights the pen a bit, throwing off the balance, so I prefer to use this pen unposted. This pen is a vacuum filler, or as Visconti calls it, a power filler. This pen also utilizes a double reservoir system, where there is a smaller forward ink chamber and the larger chamber in the barrel. There is one thing that really impressed me that I'll show you in the size comparisons regarding the build quality of these pens. It's just something best demonstrated up close when you look at all three pens at the same time. So you'll see that in just a moment. The Homo Sapiens Demo Stones retails for $995. At authorized Visconti dealers, you will find them at a 20% discount, bringing the price down to just under $800, like $796, which is in line with a number of other Homo Sapiens offerings. They are available at a wide variety of retailers, and I did notice that some retailers were including a free bottle of Visconti ink with this pen, the color that best matches the pen that you're purchasing. Visconti has had an ever-expanding Homo Sapiens lineup, and I feel that this was a quality addition. I like the colors of these pens. I think they look really nice, and they do a good job of matching the stone sitting atop the cap. Okay, now it is time for some measurements, size comparisons, and a writing sample. Some size comparisons for the Visconti Homo Sapiens Demo Stones. Here is the blue sapphire that we were looking at. And then here is the emerald model. I think this is a really nice shade of green. You can see the stone here that's on the end. And then here is the ruby, which is a nice solid red as well. And I really do think that they did a good job with the lettering here and the backing color here as well. But that's what all three of those look like together. In regard to some other Visconti models, this always becomes a test of whether I can remember what all of these are called. First of all, here it is with a sterling silver Homo Sapiens. This is an older model where they actually had two bands on there. And then here is a blue ripple. And then here is a Divina Maxi. And in regard to three other Viscontis, here it is with a Opera Desert Springs and a Wall Street, and then finally an Opera Metal Speedboat. In regard to some uncapped comparisons, here it is with the Opera, and then here it is with the Divina, and here it is with the Wall Street. Now, I mentioned that there was something that I wanted to share in regard to build quality, and what I wanted to show you was basically the bands in comparison to the alignment of the nib. I had noticed that on some previous models that they weren't always the same, and that this band could just be rotated just about any which way, and they weren't necessarily putting them on in a specific angle. I don't know exactly when that changed, but I did notice, and you really don't notice these things until you have 3 of the identical model to take a look at, but all 3 bands are aligned exactly the same, which is something nice to see. Okay, let's go ahead and ink up this Sapphire pen, and what we're going to use is a color that I thought matched it nicely, which is the Visconti turquoise. So what we're going to do is we're going to unscrew the end and pull this back, and then we're just going to insert it into the bottle, depress, and then wait for a second, and you can see in here we have a decent sized fill. So here we have the Visconti Homo Sapiens demo stones. This is a 14 karat medium gold nib, and the ink, as I showed you I'm using, is Visconti turquoise. This is what the ink looks like. It's a really nice, vibrant blue. This is what all of their other offerings look like as well. They have a lot of nice colors. There is their more solid traditional blue. Here is their green. Then we have a black, a red, and finally a sepia. Okay, here we go with the rest of the writing sample. There was a little skip at the start here. I believe that was more toward the due to me and the angle that I was holding this. Sometimes you have to hold this at a little strange angle when you're doing these reviews. As far as Visconti's in-house nibs go, I do care for them. I find that they have a decent amount of flex to it. You can get a little bit of flex out of here. It's fairly soft and it's fairly smooth. The ink flow is a little bit on the light side. In regard to reverse writing, it doesn't necessarily lay down that much ink in regard to reverse writing. In regard to some fast writing, the feed keeps up just fine. So here we have all 3 colors of the Visconti Homo Sapiens demo stones. I think all 3 of these colors look really sharp, and I think that this is a really nice addition to the Homo Sapiens lineup. Okay, until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.